And once again, we are continuing our conversation with newly appointed County Commissioner Matthew Shalai. Matthew, again, welcome back to 3 at 3.
Thank you.
Your priorities for this district, what are they?
Right now, the biggest thing that's going to take place over the next 5 to 6 months is the passing of the county budget. Yeah. And so I think it's really important that we are positioning the county budget to actually be addressing the capital improvements that are needed, both for District 9, but the county as a whole. There are a lot of improvements that have been needing to be made and issues that we have had as a county. There have been issues, quite frankly, since before I was born. And so I think it's really important that we address those so that we're not taking another 24 years to deal with.
That makes a lot of sense there. Yeah. Your expertise working with the city of Memphis and now being a county commissioner, how does all that kind of go hand in hand there?
I think it gives me a better understanding of, maximizing efficiencies when it comes to governance and the budget, making sure that we are handling business as a government as efficiently as possible when it comes to our spending, to make sure that we do not need to ask for any more money from taxpayers if possible. I think that dealing with, on the city side, both the state and federal legislation, seeing how we might be able to garner partnerships from our other elected officials that we can reduce some spending on the county side and kind of alleviate that with some possible other income.
Take us behind the scenes also a little bit for those who don't know you, have not had a chance to really talk with you and meet you yet. A lot of your work has been behind the scenes and really working with a lot of young people in our community, especially mentoring young men. Why has that been so imperative for you?
Me as a young man growing up in Whitehaven, there are a lot of things that I do now that I didn't ever imagine I would be able to do. And it wasn't until I had people in my life, both within Whitehaven, within District 9, and throughout the county as a whole, that exposed these things to me. And so I try to be that same type of guiding light, exposing a lot of young men to direct opportunities they can take advantage of, but just different avenues of life that they may not have considered was a possibility for them.
What about public trust and restoring public trust in District 9, especially after the resignation of Edmund Ford Jr.?
I think it's really important that us as a commission as a whole take action to make sure that that type of incident cannot happen again, both when it comes to the governance aspect of things, but also just how we treat each other as a board, what commissioners are able to do. And so I think in terms of ensuring that we have the trust of the public, it will be vital that we take those immediate steps to alleviate that being able to happen in the future.
I know we were quickly and earlier talking about you being a numbers guy, that being a part of your expertise. When it comes to the future of Memphis Shelby County schools and what's happening with the potential state takeover and all, how do you see all of this playing out?
It's really hard to tell at this point because it's hard to tell what the implementation cost of any of that would be, what that would look like on our budget, what that would mean for the district financially. I, of course, feel that schools should be focused on schools without having any type of external political influence or considerations in that. But when it comes to the finance and the budget aspect of things, I think it's really hard to tell right now.
When it comes to working with other commissioners, how do you see your role in all of this playing?
Coming in, I'm very excited to be a collaborative force. I don't want to come in with any type of arguments, anything like that. I think it's really important, especially now with it being budget season, that we are coming in collaboratively, being able to work together to come and pass a sound budget that's making those investments we need as a whole. So I'm not trying to stir up any drama or anything like that.
A lot of people will want to know, though, after the 5 or 6 months are up, do you plan on stepping away, or is this a position you will run for? Because legally, you can.
One of the things that commissioners were very considerate of is that they did not want to appoint anybody that was actually running for the office because of the fact that they did not want this appointment to provide an unfair advantage to whoever's running for the seat. And so I did give my word that I would not be running for the seat, and so I'm not going to run for the seat after this is over.
Commissioner, we have a lot to talk about in the future. We'd love to have you back on 3 at 3.
I would look forward to
all that you are doing for
Thank
Memphis
you.
and Shelby County and District 9.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for being here.